Welcome to Medical Intuition Illuminated, the podcast bringing light to the wisdom of the body. I'm your host, Laura Wise, a medical intuitive and psychic medium dedicated to helping you understand the subtle and layered ways your body communicates. Here, we explore the meeting point of intuition, physiology, and energy, approaching the body not as a puzzle to fix, but as a wise, expressive system that's always speaking. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not medical advice, and it does not replace professional healthcare, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for any medical concerns. This episode contains a real medical intuition session. All participants are anonymous, and any identifying details have been edited out to protect privacy. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome. Before we get started, I just want to go ahead and give you my disclaimer, which is that I'm not a licensed medical practitioner. So we'll be going through the body and looking at different things. I won't be diagnosing. I won't be saying that I can cure anything. I'm not going to be talking about any named conditions unless it's something that you want to bring up and talk about yourself. But along those lines, I might be giving some recommendations around foods or supplements or other recommendations. And I do that all with a caveat that you check in with your own personal care team before making any changes to your routine. Okay?
Yep.
Great. So before we get started, do I have your permission to read you and your body and energy today?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, beautiful. So let me go ahead and start reaching out my energy to you. And I'm going to start at the top of the head. And usually the first information that comes through is kind of how your mind works and how you receive intuitive information. So the first thing they're showing me, they keep showing me almost like your mind's in like many places at once right now. It feels like you're kind of like leaping from a lot of different things, and they're like very different contextually from each other. So it's like, they're showing me like you live in a lot of different rooms, and like they're showing me a house and you live in all these different rooms and you try to live there at once. Really, there's like a lot of like moving through different kind of roles within your life that you're doing to, and it can leave you feeling a little bit discombobulated sometimes. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're almost showing me like a work room, there's like a personal room, there's like family room, and there's like some other kind of hobbies or things that you do as well. And they're just kind of, they're getting a little bit of like cross communication sometimes because you're trying to like do all of the things at once. And they're also really talking about that you really prioritize a lot of other people's needs above your own. That's kind of baseline for you, is that you tend to put yourself at the end of that list of things that you have to do. And they're saying that people will make space for you if you allow yourself to make space for yourself. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, it does. That's my goal for this year, is to more self-care, more taking care of myself, and having boundaries around others.
Yeah, and they're talking about it. It's like physical time. They're also talking about emotional health as well. And like when you're very good at considering like everybody's feelings in the situation, but when it comes to your own, you're like, well, that's not as important. So
Yes.
So it's like literal physical body stuff, and then also kind of mental, emotional. Yeah, I am sensing a little bit of congestion or something, a little inflammation through kind of the eustachian tubes and into the lymphatic system in the neck as well. That kind of feels to me almost like that can be kind of a chronic thing for you with your sinuses. And that it's almost like I'm almost seeing like constant kind of the post-nasal drip as well in the back of your throat. And it's an interesting combination of, it's like both dry and wet at the same time. So it's almost like the tissues themselves are really dry, and then your body kind of overcompensates by continually kind of keeping that faucet on because it's trying to compensate for it. I am also, I'm seeing a lot of dryness and scratchiness in the throat as well. They're also telling me that's kind of a chronic thing. So I'm seeing a little bit of a dry pattern across the body. But again, we'll see when we get into
Mm-hmm.
the digestive system what that looks like. That's interesting. They are saying that you are good about having quiet time for yourself, that you have carved out the ability to kind of like sit peacefully with your thoughts in whatever capacity that is.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be that you're doing like another task, but for you that feels meditative, right? The task that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that that people tend not to bother you at those times, right? So you're like
Yes.
investing in those things. So that's really good in a way that you really have cultivated that it's also really calming for your mind to do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am seeing some stuff within the teeth and the jaw as well. So I don't know if you've had some kind of gums, it's almost like gum deterioration a little bit through that.
Yeah.
And that is connected to the dryness pattern that we're seeing.
Mm.
There's a little bit of clenching as well that
Yeah.
happens in your,
Sure.
especially on these bottom teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, they are saying that you're addressing that now with your dentist. Yeah, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um, but yeah, they're just saying, throughout the mouth is just, there's like general dryness as well. And I'm
Yeah.
seeing that through that your like eyes get really dry as well.
Mm-hmm.
And itchy. Do you have seasonal allergies? Do you forget those?
Um, yes, to a certain degree, yeah.
Okay. It almost feels more like it's like dust really bothers you or like dusty kind of dry air versus like it being actually allergies, which is interesting.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
Okay.
okay. Or dander. Do you have any pets in your home?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Two
So that could
pets.
be, yeah, some of the dander
Yeah.
could. What kind of pets did you say?
One dog and one cat.
One dog. Oh, the whole shebang. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of fur.
um, okay. Another, it's interesting. They are showing me that you do a lot of things where your head is down and bent. So I'm seeing a lot of tightness that goes down the back of your neck and into your shoulders through that. And they're recommending just even doing like being able to take a breath and kind of open up that chest a little bit
Hmm.
and kind of really making sure that you're like standing up and stretching and like moving through and like getting your neck and your head opened up because yeah, it's just there's like a lot of bending forward and looking at your lap or looking at your hands.
I've been doing a lot of jigsaw puzzles recently,
Oh.
but I really have to pace myself with how much I put my neck forward because I have an injury.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably pretty aggravated because then I get addicted to doing the puzzle, you know. So
That's like that calm meditative time that you have,
yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
And they're showing me it goes all the way down into your mid back, almost the pain
Yes.
from your
Yeah.
neck, into the middle, like kind of behind the shoulder blades, even further down into the
Hmm.
vertebrae there. And it feels pretty tight almost constantly. It's kind of what I'm
Yes.
seeing with that. And it can make your shoulders just feel really tight as well into
Yes.
those shoulder joints and your arms. I'm seeing you do get really cold hands.
Yes.
Am I seeing
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Hmm.
And that just in general, there's like not a lot of blood flow that gets all the way down into your hands. And so you're getting those kind of dry, crackly joints in your knuckles and things, and those might get swelling and inflamed
Hmm.
as well. Um, they are recommending ginger since we are seeing kind of a dry and cold pattern across the body. Do you
Okay.
ever have ginger tea or anything like that?
Not usually, but
Okay.
I
It's
should
nice
try
warming.
it.
Another, if you don't totally love the flavor, another way to have it that's nice is like a slice of ginger and you just put it in your water and drink it
Oh.
like that. And then you're getting, it's not quite as intense because sometimes I know ginger tea can be kind of spicy.
Okay.
And so it's also really hydrating as well. So
Hmm.
it's like warming and hydrating. And they're also bringing up cinnamon as a spice as well for kind
Yep.
of warming things up. But we'll see more again when we get to the digestion. Okay, so pulling me into the lung space in particular, I do see the lungs have kind of that dusty dryness that we were talking about in them. And I do see a grief pattern in the lungs. This is an old grief pattern that we're seeing. Is this newer? Yeah. So this is something that's been with you for a little bit, particularly around somebody passing. And some passing, they're saying more than one passing in there. And that is something that we are going to look at in the healing portion of this today, is kind of moving some of that energy through. Does that make sense to you?
Yep, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. And it's the way they're putting it is like there's a part of you that is really, you know, like this was such a big event that happened to you in your life, and there's a part of you that is, you know, doesn't want to let go of this person in a certain way, and so there's like the grief feels comforting in a certain sense because it's like a
Mm.
connection to the this person or these people.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, look in the heart space. Okay, so I do see a little bit of a protective pattern around the heart, particularly around the left side of the heart. And when I see that, it's, you know, telling me that there's, you know, just some tenderness there that your body has put protection around. And since it's on the left side, it's often around kind of things that are very personal to you, right? Very, yeah, very sensitive around the way, around sense of self and around the way that you're relating to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is separate from the grief pattern. This is the way they're bringing it up is kind of like a certain amount of self-judgment or self-esteem stuff that has been around in the heart space. Do I have your permission to look more deeply in that area?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And they are indicating this is something that we'll also work on in the healing portion. So I'm going to make a note of that here. Lungs. And then we're also going to look at heart. These are separate energies though, so we'll work at them separately. Yeah, they're just saying that we're gonna unpack that later on a little bit more at that point. But I am seeing, yeah, there's just some old patterns of kind of returning to a certain way of thinking about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and judgment around that, and um, just tenderness around it as well. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so okay, now so they're showing me your spine, and just it's almost like your spine just it's like taut all the time. It's almost like it's
Yeah.
just the way it gets really, the muscles around the sides of the spine just get really tight and really
Mm-hmm.
holding. And you did mention an injury. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that injury at this point?
Yeah, well, I've actually had fibromyalgia for almost
Mm,
40 years.
okay.
So that's part of it. But then I was in a car accident about 13 years ago. And yeah, so ended up with basically a disabling injury from that.
Okay. Sorry to hear that. Um, yeah, and it comes, it's like they're really showing me it can be really depending on the weather. The weather like really
Yes,
influences it like a great deal with how comfortable
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
are. And
Hmm.
so you'll be like in the summer or even like spring, you feel great, you know, you can move more,
Yes.
and then it's like the cold weather hits and
Hmm.
everything just freezes up.
Yes.
Um and they're showing me like how much movement really is good for it, like movement, just moving, like walking. They're showing me particularly like walking around, because it feels like you like to walk around your neighborhood when it's really nice out, or you like to walk out in nature, and that when it's cold, it is the cold itself, but it's also like you're not as likely to get up and do those things.
Yes, I
And
tend to hibernate in my bed.
yeah, totally. And so um and exacerbates. So they're also showing that stress has a really big impact on it as well. So it's
Yeah.
like when things get really busy, and it's like when your body freezes up, they're showing me your mind can spin out a little bit too, because
Hmm.
it gets into this like the body freezes, and then there's almost like this panic thing that happens in your mind of like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do all the things I need to do,
Hmm.
because they're saying like when the accident happened, it really derailed a lot of stuff, and you
Oh,
had to
yeah.
be kind of, you just had to shut down so much of your life, and that it stirs up this like panic feeling in your body of like, I'm gonna have to do that again, I'm not gonna be able to
Mm.
do all the things, right? So it's
Oh,
this
okay.
residual
Yeah,
fear pattern as well, if that makes sense.
it does make sense.
um so I'm sorry about that. They're not pointing to this as anything that we're going to work on right now. It's so interesting, they're actually bringing up, have you ever heard of biofield tuning?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It's a particular modality, and you might, I don't know if you'll be able to find one in your area because you typically do it in person.
Mm.
Um, but it's like a energetic resonance kind of rebalancing. And I
Oh,
could see
okay.
that being a really, because they also brought up Reiki as well.
Yep.
And that can be something that can be done distance wise, but it's
Hmm.
something like this is deep kind of in your nervous system. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, it's almost like you need it kind of on a regular basis to be kind of getting this external support for calming your nervous system down.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
saying you're a DIYer, and so it's like there's a lot of these things that you just want to do yourself, right? You're like, well, I can just figure it out. I'll just take a bath or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the really does that resonate?
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And so there's just saying like being cared for is part of the medicine of this as well.
Yes.
It's like the being able to have the energy of the universe kind of flow through somebody else and be gifted to you in that
Mhm.
way is part of the medicine as well. It like amplifies it in a way that you won't be able to fully do yourself, right? And so it's
Okay.
like
Okay.
I'm kind of the same way. Like I'm like I could just figure it out, right? I'm like I could
Yeah.
watch a YouTube video on it, or whatever, like whatever it is. So I get it, but it's like it's one of those things where it's really yeah, and I'm getting the chills right now. That's telling me this is important medicine for you to hear about the
Mhm.
receiving part of it, really amplifying the
Mm.
healing benefits. So
Great.
and I also cranial sacral is coming up as well, if you've ever heard
Mhm.
of that. Um, and they're a little more common maybe than biofield tuning. So that might be really good too for just kind of gently readjusting some of these parts of the spine. Because yeah, they're showing it's like all the way up and down the back,
Yeah.
really. And it'll get to these points where you're like, they're showing me like you'll turn your head and it just almost will throw your whole back out for days or something,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
you have to be really careful with how you're positioning your body.
Mhm.
Um, okay. So they're pulling me back into pancreas in particular. So we're going up a little bit.
Mm.
And it feels like your pancreas is working overtime. And so it's really doing a lot of extra work right now. It's really on. So let me take a look at digestion to kind of compare those things. Yeah, so digestion feels really dry as well. Your stomach runs really dry, and it does run, I would say it's run cold, but then it kind of like, it almost like goes into these phases where it gets really hot and then it goes cold. So that's telling me kind of the pancreas is working overtime, kind of trying to keep the stomach full of fluid, right? And keep it all of the bile and the juices and the juiciness of the stomach going on. They're showing me that it's almost like you'll go through these long periods of like almost not eating a bunch. Like it's
Yes.
almost like you get like not hungry or forget to eat, or eating is complicated for whatever, diet is complicated for whatever reason. And so
Yes. Uh-huh.
it's like you don't want to bother, and so you
Yes.
just don't, right? um,
For sure.
and they're really emphasizing the idea of like lots of tiny meals over a couple of
Mhm.
big meals in the day. Because it's almost like you're like, it get to the end of the day and you're like, I didn't eat anything today. And then you just like try to pack it all in.
Mhm.
And they're really saying like having like 4 to 5 small meals throughout the day is actually like, that's how your system is would prefer to do it anyways, even without all this other stuff going on. Like you're a
Oh, okay.
grazer.
Yes.
And yeah, that's interesting. They're also bringing up there's like a certain self judgment around the grazing thing, right?
Sure.
Because the
Yes, I have a
snacking,
lot of
yeah.
food trauma.
Mhm. So they're saying like the snacking it feels hard to do that, right? Because then you're like, oh, it feels like you're eating more if you're eating small meals, even if it's
Yeah.
the same amount of food at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it will allow you time to kind of digest, because they're showing me you do have a slow digestion in general.
Okay.
And that again mirrors kind of your mental pattern of like you take your time to process your emotions.
Hmm.
And they're very personal and private for you. And the same thing, like your digestion takes its time to digest things. And so if you're able to do small meals, then it can really take time with each part, right? And sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they are showing kind of, yeah, some warming spices would be great for you. So kind of cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, things like that. They're also showing that you run cold, right, in your stomach. So warm, wet, brothy things, root vegetables, great. Raw food, not for you. Like
Yeah.
raw salads, not for you. They're going to shut everything down. So sweet potatoes are good. Let me look at nightshades. Nightshades are fine for you. I'm not seeing an issue with any tomatoes or stuff like that, generally. And there's also there's like a gas thing that happens as well, right? Because you eat like this big meal at the end of the day and then it just kind of sits there because your digestion takes a while. And so you'll get gas that goes up and also goes down. So sometimes you'll get some cramping and bloating through your digestion as things are just kind of sitting there. They are also pointing to like a little bit of a malabsorption pattern in the digestive tract as well. And this is coming from your dryness as yourself. So, so one of the things they're bringing up is actually adding some like raw oils to your food after they're cooked. So you might cook in oil, but then like cooking them changes the oil. But if you can often put like olive oil or something on your food afterwards. And that is going to act differently in your body than if you cooked with it, right? It's not carcinogenic in that way. And it's going to help kind of moisturize these passages, that the food is going through, because it's just so dry there. It's almost like it's hard for it to absorb any nutrition because of that. They're also talking about chia seeds are a great one. You can add that to your water, and let them plump up. You could even do like a chia pudding, which is really yummy because they're pointing that you do like sweet flavors.
Yeah.
So you can do like you do chia seed and like whatever milk you want to do. They say nuts are really, you're sensitive to nuts, so not nut milk, but whatever milk you want to do. You could do like, and then you add like a sweetener. I like to do like maple syrup. You can add, if you want to add other flavors, you can. You let it sit overnight, and it's this like yummy congealed pudding thing. And you can have it for breakfast. It would be great. It's got tons of fiber. So it's really easy to make. It's delicious. And you'd get the hydration and the fiber from that. Yeah. Yeah, and the food, they're also pointing to just like the frustration around the food thing for you. That it's just feels like you just don't know what to do with it a lot of the time. And so it feels overwhelming to kind of figure out what's working, what's not. If that makes sense.
Yes.
And stomach governs the emotion of anxiety. And they're also pointing to that as kind of, that's a pattern in your system as well, is that you are a worrier. And when you're worrying, it kind of shuts down the nervous system associated with the stomach. And so it's making it kind of harder for the digestive process to happen. You worry about a lot. Yeah, you worry about all the things. Like family, it's like your stuff, it's like this, it's like that. And they're almost putting it like you feel like you need to worry about everybody because they're not always worried about themselves, right? And so you're like, well, I gotta do it, right? I gotta be on top of it. Is that something that we need to work on? No, that's something that you're addressing yourself. Anything else about digestion here? So they're pointing to something like trying to get your appetite started in the morning is a whole thing, right? During the day.
Yeah.
And so in Ayurveda, often like a sweet flavor will help to start the digestive fire up. So if you can like eat something like, they're specifically bringing up bananas. So if you can eat something like a banana, right? And then wait a little bit and maybe then you have your first like little meal, right? To kind of get things going. Cause it's like, sometimes if you just dump a bunch of food in there before it's ready, it just makes you feel crappy, right? And you don't want to eat anymore. And this does also, it's like the not eating or the eating, like eating weird times or whatever, it flares up your other stuff throughout your body as well. Okay. Yeah, so they're showing me, and they're just showing me like the pain in the base of the spine as well, that it like where it goes into the hips and the area down there. It's a really sharp pain in there. And it's, there was a lot of impact from that injury, like in that area in particular. And the healing, like the way that you had, they're particularly saying the way that you had to kind of like sit and lay while you were recovering from that put a lot of compounding pressure
Mm-hmm.
in that area as well. And so the tissues are still just kind of, and there was a lot of like nerve damage and stuff that happened at
Yes.
that time
Yeah.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let me take a look at adrenals and kidneys. Kidneys are very dry. Yeah. So I don't know how you are with your water consumption, if that's something, but I would say up it, but also making sure that you're, adding some electrolytes as well to kind of
Oh,
make sure that
okay.
you're absorbing the water. So, a great remedy for that is to add a natural sea salt into your water.
Mm-hmm.
And not a table salt, but something, Himalayan salt you can get. I like to get
Mm-hmm.
one that's local to me. So if you can find one that's from your area, that's even better. But it kind of helps the cells plump up and be able to hold
Oh.
onto that water better. So if you envision like, if you have a piece of dry land, right, and you pour water on it, it just rolls off. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're able to kind of like add in, some minerals and some things that allows that to kind of hold the water better within your
Oh,
cells
okay.
and your tissues. Um, and it will help your pain a lot just to be extra hydrated.
Oh, okay.
And so I think there's like this period, like around like 3 p.m., I feel like a lot of people suddenly feel like really exhausted. And that's the
Mm.
time when we often will be like, I need more caffeine, right? And a lot of times that's actually
Yeah.
your body being dehydrated.
Um,
And so before, I don't know if you do caffeine, but if that's the time that something that happens to you before reaching for the caffeine, try drinking a ton of water first.
mhm.
Some sea salts in it. Um, okay. Any other organs in there? Let's look at liver. So liver feels a little tired, is the way that they're showing it. Liver's been
Mhm.
doing a lot of work processing stuff. So I don't know if you're on any medications or anything like that on a regular basis.
Yeah, I take a lot of medication.
Yeah, and they're probably necessary for whatever, but it does feel like the liver gets a little bit taxed from those
Yeah, and
as
from
well.
pain medicines,
Yeah,
especially.
because it's just a
Probably.
lot for them to process, right? And those are
Mhm.
probably necessary for other reasons, but um, and I do feel like you run low on the iron side as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
some blood billing stuff you might want to get. I don't know if you've had your iron checked recently. Um,
Not recently.
Okay, so that might be something you want to look into just to kind of support that. But it feels, yeah, they're showing that it's just a little tired and deficient in some ways, and it's just been processing a lot of stuff. Feel about, yeah, I was gonna say there's some herbs that are like really supportive to liver, but they can also be a little bit taxing on other parts of the body. And so
Mm.
I was gonna say like dandelion root, but your body's saying no to that. That one's pretty intense. Nettles is coming up. So nettles is
Mm.
great. It's got a lot of mineral content in it, and it's kind of warming as well. So if you can
Okay.
just get some nettle tea, that could be
Mhm.
really helpful for kind of supporting your liver through there. Um, okay. You're showing me your left hip also being like into that sciatic
Yes.
um, joint, and it's all connected to the same pattern of the
Mhm.
back and the hip and all of those things. Did you have any physical therapy following your accident?
Um, I did a lot of chiropractic and massage therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, they're pointing to that around because physical therapists are incredible, and what they really specialize is kind of they help you kind of relearn in a lot of ways how to hold your body too,
Oh.
and exercises you can do around strengthening like balance and things like that. And so it has been a minute since you had that experience, but they're bringing it up as that potentially could be helpful for kind of realigning some things because there's so much hold, like you really are holding a lot
Mhm.
in your body, and it's hard for you to get a free movement sometimes because of
Mhm.
all that pain and the various um, parts. And chiropractor it can be really helpful, but depending on the chiropractor, it can also be a little aggravating if they're
Right.
doing
Yes.
these like big kind of adjustments. And you
Mm-hmm.
are sensitive. You are really
Yeah.
sensitive to those. So some of those could even have been like too much for you with some of those
Yes.
adjustments. Like um that it's, you know, you need something a little bit more subtle and gentle, like cranial sacral is a little
Mm-hmm.
more like that. Because it could just kind of aggravate things if they're a little bit intense. Um, Show me your legs. Almost like your legs have been really tired recently as well. I'm trying to let me feel like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like they just been hard to move. Um, yeah, and they're showing me the back pattern going all the way down the back of the legs as well, just like tight
Mm-hmm.
all the way through. Um, and that it makes it so hard to like get up and do the things. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. Your knees get dry as well. They get dry and
Mm-hmm.
crackly. Um, so one thing that might also be really helpful too is just kind of getting that lymph moving. And so
Mm-hmm.
doing something like, kind of oilinating up your body or doing a scrub and kind of rubbing up they're really talking about the legs in particular because they get cold and there's even some fluid that kind of gets stuck at the bottom of the legs as well because of the sitting and not being able to move as much. So you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of physically move that lymph by like, if you do before you take a bath, right, and kind of like doing a salt scrub or getting, oil all over your body and like rubbing towards your heart and really getting in there and kind of moving that lymph. Because there's scar tissue all across your body
Yeah.
that's from all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And breaking it up physically with your hands could be really helpful and that's why the massages worked really well too, right? Because they were breaking up a bunch of that scar tissue. And you being able to just do that on like they're saying like a weekly basis
Okay.
could really,
Yeah.
really help. Because yeah, I'm seeing cold all the way down your legs, almost seeing some stuff with the veins as well. Do you get varicose veins?
Yeah. Yeah. I,
Yeah, and that's some of that kind of stagnation of stuff through the legs, and that's
yeah.
kind of the same pattern we saw in the liver. And your
Mm-hmm.
feet get cold as
Yes.
well.
Very cold.
Yeah. It's so interesting. They're showing me in some ways like you're very heady because I'm looking at your feet and it's like in some ways you can like float, and like do
Yeah.
other things, but you're very, very, very practical, right? And so
Yes.
as much as you start to float away, you're like, oh, but actually also like all of these other grounding things, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you really like you keep yourself tethered.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yeah. So it's like it's a balance, right? But it's not the way they're putting it is almost because your body has so much pain. Sometimes it's like you want to be floating away, right?
Yes.
You want to be going up into those other areas because being in the body is so painful.
Mhm.
Yeah, and your joints just get really achy too with the cold. They're showing like elbow joints, wrist
Mhm.
joints, just everything kind of flares up. Um, Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pause there and check in with you if you had something specific that you wanted to ask about or something that you want to revisit there to make sure we have enough time.
Um, no, I think you pretty thoroughly covered
Okay.
everything. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Let me just check if there's anything else that they want to bring up. No. They're saying that that was a lot of information for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So we don't want to overwhelm, right, with all the different things we can
Mhm.
look at. Okay. So we'll go ahead and move into the healing portion then at this point. Following the assessment, we end the session with a healing where we unpack the root causes of the stagnant energies that were surfaced during the walkthrough of the body and systems. The information quickly gets very personal and detailed, so in order to maintain the privacy and anonymity of my participants, I don't share these sections on the podcast. They're also not ideal for an audio format as they often include long stretches of silence while we work with visualizations, meditations, and other kinds of energy work. Thanks for listening to Medical Intuition Illuminated. If this episode resonated, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit. Special thanks to Derek Ryan for music. Until next time, listen deeply to the wisdom of your body.